Hey guys, it's Greg from New England MTG, and I'm going to show you my black-green Dredge deck. I've been playing this for a while, since Conley Woods put up his list for Dredge, but it really wasn't getting there until Born of the Gods gave us Satyr Wayfinder. So now this deck is a lot better, and it has what it needs to be more competitive. So getting right into it, to start we have 4 Deathrite Shaman. Deathrite Shaman's really good because it allows us to work out of our graveyard for just about anything. We can get mana off of lands in our graveyard, we can drain them for 2 if there's an instant or sorcery, and we can gain 2 life if there's a creature. So we're exiling things out of our graveyard, and you know it's pretty much does everything for us, so it's a really good card. We have 4 of those. 4 Elvish Mystic, just for mana ramping. You know, we have some bigger spells like Shadowborn Demon and Jarad that we want to get into real quick, and it's a creature, so if it's in our graveyard that helps a lot. We have 4 Lotleth Troll. This guy was a lot better in past standard than he is now, but he's still great. He can get things out of our hands into our graveyard, also pumping himself up, and a 2/1 trample that can regenerate for just 1 black is fairly strong against certain decks. You know, it just laughs at Elspeth. It can trample right over her tokens. So we have 4 of those. 4 Sylvan Caryatid, another just mana creature, allows us to ramp, and since it is a creature, when it's in our graveyard it helps us too. We now have 4 Satyr Wayfinder, the newest addition of this deck, which it's a 1/1 for 2, and when it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of our library. We put a land card from among them into our hand and the rest into the graveyard. This is really good since it mills us 4, but provides us a land and is a creature to block, get in the graveyard, and provide more work, or it is a creature itself, so it ends up in the graveyard with other self-mill. It's really good. We have 3 Commune with the Gods. This was 4 until Satyr Wayfinder came out. He's just better because it's a creature. It's pretty much the exact same thing, except this gets creatures or enchantments, and Satyr Wayfinder only grabs lands. So we have 3 of these. We have 4 Grisly Salvages, and again, just more self-mill. This allows us to get a creature or a land, so pretty much just like Satyr Wayfinder, except without the creature. We have 4 Nighthowlers. These get +X+X, where X is the amount of creatures in all graveyards. So when we're killing their things, and our things are going into the graveyard, Nighthowler's getting even bigger, and we can bestow it for just 4, which allows us to get a huge Lotleth Troll or Jarad. And speaking of Jarad, we have 3 Jarad. So he gets +1/+1 for each creature card in our graveyard. We can pay 3, sacrifice another creature, and each opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's power. And when he's in the graveyard, we can even sacrifice a swamp and a forest to return him from the graveyard to our hand. So he does everything. He can drain them, he can just hit him himself, and if he's in the graveyard and we need him, we can just get him out of there and play him as a creature. So he's really solid in this deck. We have 3 Shadowborn Demon. These, when it enters the battlefield, it destroys target non-demon creature. This was actually pretty bad for a while everybody was playing Desecration Demon. Now it's not as popular, so it's gotten a little bit better. But still, it's a creature, and it can kill things, so it's a lot better than, say, Hero's Downfall, since if it ends up in the graveyard, it still works to our strategy of having creatures in there. We have 4 Nemesis of Mortals, which it's a 6-mana 5/5, but it costs 1 less for each creature card in our graveyard, so it can also Monstrous for 9, sorry, which costs also less for each creature card in our graveyard. So this works off of our strategy really well, and allows us to get a really early 10/10. And for the lands, I'm only running 19 lands, since there's so much self-mill, and with Satyr Wayfinder and Grisly Salvage, we're fetching lands quite easily. So we have 4 Overgrown Tombs. I'm also looking forward to the black-green temple that Journey to Nyx is going to bring us. That'll be an obvious 4 of here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 swamps. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 forests. Alright, on to the sideboard. start, we have one Mistcutter Hydra, and this probably would be a 2 or a 3 of. I just don't have that many Mistcutters, so it's just a 1 of right now. But obviously against control or mono blue, it's perfect. I mean, you can't beat Mistcutter Hydra. We have 2 Whip of Erebos. This is for aggressive matchups or sometimes even control, which the lifelink allows us to get back from aggro decks, and returning creatures from our graveyard to the battlefield after control spends so much resources to get rid of them is fairly impressive. We have 2 Lifebane Zombies, so it's like our Duress or Thoughtseize against certain decks, but also a creature. So that again works to our strategy very well if it ends up in the graveyard. We have 1 Hero's Downfall. If I really need another kill spell or problem planeswalkers, then we bring this in, but very rarely does it come in since we have Shadowborn Demon to deal with opposing creatures, or our creatures are so big we can just power through them. We have 2 Skylashers. Ideally this would be Mistcutter Hydras, but I don't have them, so right now we're just running 2 Skylashers instead. So again, against blue decks, they're pretty good, can't be countered, protection from blue. Running 3 Abrupt Decays, and this is the same thing with Hero's Downfall, that I didn't want to really have too many spells in the deck. I wanted to focus it on creatures, but Abrupt Decay is such a good card, I could not keep it out of the sideboard. I wanted to mainboard it, but I realized I needed more creatures. So we have 3 Abrupt Decay in the sideboard, and you know, if we really need to, we can kind of board out the graveyard strategy to some extent and turn it into kind of a mid-range deck, which is where Abrupt Decay is really best. We also have 2 Golgari Charm. Golgari Charm is really good. All creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn, or destroy target enchantment, or generate each creature you control. So really it does everything, and you kind of just have to board this in for whatever seems necessary. You know, it's even great with the all creatures get -1/-1 till end of turn, because it can kill your own mana guys that you don't need anymore, which gets more things in the graveyard, which powers up our strategy once again. And then we have 1 Thoughtseize and 1 Duress. Ideally this Duress would also be a Thoughtseize, or maybe even a Lifebane Zombie, but again I don't have those, so right now we're running 1 Thoughtseize, 1 Duress, and this comes in against just slower decks that I can take things out of their hands and, you know, mess up their strategies. Alright, so that was my Dredge deck. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.